the world has changed in ways most people don't fully recognize yet. There was a time when simply showing up, doing what was asked, and meeting basic expectations was enough to earn stability, respect, and progress. That time is gone. Today, average effort produces average results, and average results are no longer enough to survive, let alone thrive. Technology, globalization, and automation have raised the bar so high that merely participating is not a strategy. Standing out is no longer optional. It is the price of admission. In every industry, the gap between those who blend in and those who differentiate themselves is widening. Algorithms don't reward effort, they reward results. Employers don't compete for people who do the minimum. They compete for people who bring ideas, energy, and leadership into the room. The market doesn't care how hard you tried, only whether you solved a meaningful problem. This is not cruelty, it is reality. And once you understand this, you stop asking why average feels so exhausting and start asking how to rise above it. Standing out does not mean being loud or flashy. It means being intentional. It means choosing to care more than is required. When everyone else follows instructions, you think critically. When others wait for permission, you take responsibility. When most people chase short-term comfort, you commit to long-term growth. These choices compound over time, quietly but relentlessly, until the difference between average and exceptional becomes impossible to ignore. Many people resist this truth because average feels safe. Blending in reduces the risk of failure and criticism. But safety is an illusion. In a fast-moving world, stagnation is the real danger. Skills that were valuable 5 years ago may already be obsolete. Titles that once guaranteed respect no longer protect you. If you are not learning, adapting, and evolving, you are slowly falling behind, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. The people who stand out are not always the smartest or the most talented. More often, they are the most committed. They are driven by purpose rather than pressure. They know why they do what they do. And that clarity fuels resilience when motivation fades. Purpose creates consistency, and consistency creates excellence. This is why organizations, teams, and movements are led by individuals who believe in something bigger than themselves. Belief inspires action, and action creates momentum. Standing out also means accepting discomfort. Growth is rarely convenient. It demands discipline when no one is watching, and courage when the outcome is uncertain. It requires choosing the harder path when the easier one is socially acceptable. But discomfort is not a signal to stop. It is evidence that you are expanding beyond what average demands of you. The world does not owe you recognition for effort alone. It responds to value, impact, and meaning. When you stop aiming to fit in and start striving to contribute something unique, everything changes. Your work gains relevance. Your voice gains weight. Your presence matters. This is the shift that defines our time. Showing up is no longer enough. The future belongs to those who decide every day to stand out. Average is seductive because it feels easy, familiar, and socially acceptable. It promises comfort without confrontation and routine without risk. When you choose average, you rarely face immediate consequences. You are not criticized, not questioned, and not pushed beyond your limits. But this comfort comes at a hidden cost. Comfort slowly dulls ambition, weakens discipline, and convinces you that staying where you are is safer than becoming who you could be. Over time, average stops being a choice and turns into a habit. Comfort feels good in the moment, but growth never happens there. Growth demands effort, uncertainty, and the willingness to fail publicly. The problem is not that comfort exists. The problem is when comfort becomes the goal. When comfort is the goal, learning slows down. Curiosity fades. You stop asking difficult questions and start repeating familiar patterns. Days blur together, and progress becomes invisible because it has stopped entirely. In today's world, standing still is the same as moving backward. Industries evolve, skills expire, and expectations rise whether you are ready or not. What once made you valuable may no longer be enough. Comfort tricks you into believing you have time, but time is the one thing the modern world doesn't offer generously. By the time you realize you've been coasting, others have already passed you by, not because they were more talented, but because they refused to settle. Average also shapes how you see yourself. When you consistently choose the easiest path, you begin to doubt your own potential. You stop trusting yourself to handle pressure or responsibility. Confidence erodes not from failure, but from avoidance. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you quietly reinforce the belief that you are not capable of more. This is how average becomes a ceiling rather than a phase. Those who grow understand a simple truth: discomfort is temporary, but regret lasts much longer. The discomfort of learning a new skill, speaking up, or taking a risk fades with time. The regret of never lingers for years. Growth requires leaning into moments that stretch you, moments that test your patience and discipline. These moments shape character, sharpen judgment, and build resilience. Choosing growth over comfort also changes how you respond to setbacks. When comfort is your priority, failure feels personal and discouraging. When growth is your priority, failure becomes information. You learn, adapt, and move forward stronger than before. This mindset transforms obstacles into teachers rather than threats. Average is not a permanent state imposed on you by circumstance. It is a decision reinforced by repetition. The moment you decide to tolerate discomfort for the sake of progress, average loses its power. Growth does not require perfection or sudden transformation. It begins with small, consistent choices to do a little more than is required, to push a little further than is comfortable. Comfort will always be available. Growth will always demand intention. The difference between those who remain average and those who rise above, it is not luck or privilege, but the courage to choose growth even when comfort is calling. Talent is often celebrated as the ultimate advantage, but talent alone has never been the true separator between ordinary and exceptional lives. Talent may open a door, but it does not keep you in the room. What sustains progress, especially when conditions are uncertain and pressure is high, is purpose. Purpose is the force that gives direction to effort and meaning to struggle. Without it, even the most gifted individuals eventually stall, burn out, or fade into the background. When people rely only on talent, they tend to work hard only when motivation is present. The moment recognition slows or challenges increase, their commitment weakens. Purpose-driven individuals, on the other hand, show up even when the excitement is gone. They continue because they believe in the value of what they are doing, not because they are being watched or rewarded. Purpose creates endurance, and endurance is what turns potential into impact. Purpose also brings clarity. In a world full of noise, distractions, and competing expectations, clarity is a rare advantage. When you know why you do what you do, decisions become simpler. You are less likely to chase trends that don't align with your values. You stop comparing your progress to others and start measuring it against your own standards. This clarity allows you to focus deeply, which is far more powerful than scattered effort fueled by raw ability. Exceptional people are not driven by ego, they are driven by contribution. They ask how their work improves lives, strengthens teams, or creates long-term value. This mindset shifts the focus away from personal gain and toward collective impact. Ironically, this is what often leads to greater success. People trust those who act with purpose. Teams rally behind leaders who stand for something. Customers and communities are drawn to authenticity and meaning. Talent may impress in the short term, but purpose builds consistency. Consistency builds mastery. Mastery builds trust. And trust is the foundation of leadership. This is why the people who leave lasting legacies are not always the most gifted, but the most committed to a cause bigger than themselves. They persist through failure because their identity is not tied to immediate outcomes. Failure does not define them. It informs them. Purpose also transforms how you experience hardship. Without purpose, obstacles feel like punishment. With purpose, they feel like part of the journey. Pain gains context. Sacrifice gains meaning. This does not make challenges easier, but it makes them bearable. It reminds you that what you are building matters, even when progress is slow and recognition is absent. In moments of doubt, talent offers no reassurance. Purpose does. When confidence wavers and results are delayed, purpose anchors you. It reminds you why quitting is not an option and why mediocrity is unacceptable. Purpose is the inner compass that keeps you moving forward when external validation disappears. The world is full of talented people who never fulfill their potential because they lack a reason strong enough to sustain effort. At the same time, it is shaped by individuals of average talent who achieve extraordinary things because they are deeply connected to their why. Purpose does not eliminate fear or fatigue, but it gives you a reason to act in spite of them. In the end, exceptional lives are not built by talent alone. They are built by people who decide that their work has meaning. Their actions have impact and their presence matters. Purpose is not a luxury. It is the foundation that separates those who merely perform from those who truly lead. In today's world, talent and ideas are no longer rare. What is rare is the ability to consistently do what needs to be done, even when it is difficult, uncomfortable, or unnoticed. Discipline, consistency, and courage have become the true currency of success because they determine who actually follows through. Anyone can feel motivated for a moment, but only those who develop these traits can sustain progress over time. Discipline is the ability to act without waiting for motivation. It is choosing long-term results over short-term comfort again and again. Discipline means showing up when enthusiasm fades and distractions are tempting. It is not about intensity. It is about reliability. Small, disciplined actions, repeated daily, compound into extraordinary outcomes. Without discipline, even the best intentions remain unfinished ideas. Consistency turns effort into identity. When you act consistently, you are no longer relying on willpower alone. You are building habits that shape who you become. Consistency is what makes growth predictable. It transforms learning into mastery and effort into trust. People do not trust those who perform well occasionally. They trust those who deliver reliably. Over time, consistency becomes a signal of credibility both to others and to yourself. Courage is what allows discipline and consistency to exist in the first place. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite it. It takes courage to try when success is uncertain, to speak when silence is safer, and to lead when responsibility feels heavy. Courage pushes you out of comfort and into growth. Without it, discipline weakens and consistency breaks under pressure. Together, these three qualities create momentum. Discipline starts the process, consistency sustains it, and courage expands it. Momentum changes how challenges feel. What once seemed overwhelming becomes manageable. You have proof that you can persist. Each disciplined action reinforces belief. Each consistent effort strengthens confidence. Each courageous step reshapes your limits. The modern world rewards these qualities because they are difficult to automate and impossible to fake. Machines can process information, but they cannot commit to a vision. Algorithms can optimize tasks, but they cannot act with courage or integrity. Discipline, consistency, and courage are human advantages, and they are increasingly valuable in a world driven by speed and uncertainty. These traits also redefine success. Success is no longer about sudden breakthroughs or viral moments. It is about sustained contribution. It is about becoming someone others can depend on. When you cultivate discipline, you gain control over your time and energy. When you practice consistency, you build trust and credibility. When you choose courage, you open doors that comfort keeps closed. There will always be excuses to stop, delay, or settle. Discipline teaches you to move forward anyway. Consistency teaches you to keep going even when progress feels slow. Courage teaches you to take responsibility for your impact. This is why these qualities are the new currency. They are not glamorous, but they are powerful. In a world full of potential, they are what turn intention into achievement and average effort into meaningful impact. Mediocrity is rarely a conscious decision. It is the quiet result of repeated compromises, small moments where you choose convenience over conviction and comfort over contribution. Meaning, on the other hand, demands intention. It requires you to decide that your life and your work are about more than simply getting by. Choosing meaning over mediocrity is not about chasing status or perfection. It is about recognizing that what you do, how you do it, and why you do it truly matters. When you settle for mediocrity, you trade potential for predictability. Life becomes a series of routines designed to avoid risk rather than create impact. You may stay busy, but you are not fulfilled. You may meet expectations, but you do not feel proud of your contribution. This internal disconnect is the cost of ignoring meaning. Humans are not designed to merely function. They are designed to contribute, to grow, and to feel that their effort makes a difference. Meaning begins with responsibility. It is the willingness to own your choices rather than blame circumstances. While you may not control every opportunity, you always control your response. When you take responsibility for your growth, your mindset shifts from entitlement to ownership. You stop waiting for permission and start creating value. This sense of ownership fuels self-respect, and self-respect becomes the foundation of confidence. Choosing meaning also changes how you define success. Success is no longer about comparison or external validation. It becomes about alignment. You measure progress by how closely your actions reflect your values. This alignment brings peace even when the path is difficult. It allows you to endure uncertainty because you trust the direction you are moving in. When effort aligns with purpose, even sacrifice feels worthwhile. Impact is the natural outcome of meaningful work. When you commit to meaning, you think beyond yourself. You consider how your actions affect others, how your work contributes to a larger system, and how your presence influences the people around you. This outward focus elevates performance. People who work for meaning care about quality, integrity, and long-term outcomes. They are not satisfied with shortcuts because shortcuts undermine impact. Mediocrity avoids discomfort, meaning embraces it. Growth requires stretching beyond what is familiar, and that process is rarely comfortable. But discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of expansion. Each time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, you strengthen your character. Character, more than talent or luck, determines the depth of your impact. Meaning also provides resilience. When challenges arise, those driven by mediocrity ask, "How do I escape this?" Those driven by meaning ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. It builds emotional strength and adaptability, qualities that are essential in an unpredictable world. Your impact does not have to be global to be meaningful. It can be found in the way you lead a team, serve a customer, support a family, or mentor a colleague. Meaning is not measured by scale, but by sincerity. When you bring intention into small actions, those actions accumulate into a life of significance. The world does not need more people doing the bare minimum. It needs individuals who care deeply, think intentionally, and act responsibly. Choosing meaning over mediocrity is a daily practice, not a one-time decision. It is choosing to show up with integrity when no one is watching. It is choosing growth when staying the same feels easier. Your impact matters because you matter. The effort you invest, the standards you uphold, and the values you live by shape the world around you in ways you may never fully see. When you reject mediocrity and commit to meaning, you elevate not only your own life, but the lives of those you influence. This is how ordinary actions become extraordinary. And this is why choosing meaning is one of the most powerful decisions you will ever make.